everyone, my name is Lexi and today I will be recommending to you some middle grades you might like. My name is Lexi and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be talking today about middle grade. Everyone here knows how much I adore middle grade. I love it with my entire heart. And I know that a lot of people have been asking for my personal recommendations for middle grade. And I thought, oh my God, it's middle grade March. It's the perfect time. So let me go ahead and do some of my middle grade recommendations now. For those of you who are asking yourself, who is this girl on the internet and why is she recommending me middle grades? Let me give you a little bit of backstory. Hi, my name is Lexi. I make booktube videos and I love middle grade with my whole heart. I was a middle grade librarian and a YA librarian. I'm currently a library grad student as well. My undergrad is also in writing and my biggest dream is to be a middle grade writer someday. And because of these things, I am constantly reading middle grade. I'm constantly trying to figure out what is a great middle grade book, what's something that I think I want to add to my collection. And also, I just happen to adore middle grade. So let me tell you a little bit about how I curated this list, just so that you know. When somebody asks me for a book recommendation, I don't just like to blanket recommend my favorite books because we might have different reading tastes. So like, for example, in the library, if somebody had come up to me and said, can you recommend a book? The first thing that I would do is say, sure, what's the book that you really love? If I recommend a fantasy book, because I'm a huge lover of fantasy and they hate fantasy, my recommendation isn't really gonna help them. I think it's important to expand your reading tastes and try out a little bit of everything, but I also really like tailoring my recommendations so that I know if somebody really wants a recommendation, I'm giving them something that's gonna be really helpful to them. So I've actually broken this up into different categories and I have picked 2 middle grade books per category. So if you know that you really love sci-fi, you can listen to my sci-fi recommendations. Or if you know that you never read fantasy and you're interested in a fantasy recommendation, you can listen to those. And I will also leave timestamps below as well. So some of the categories that we are going to be doing today are science fiction, fantasy, graphic novels, contemporary, tough stuff, thrillers or horror, books that make me laugh out loud, and then finally 2 of my newest recent favorite middle grades. Just because if you want to know my specific taste, I would like to tell you a couple of books that I love as well. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started, finally. So let's go ahead and start with the mystery. I think a good middle grade mystery is so much fun, and I absolutely love reading middle grade mystery. So the 2 that I have here to recommend to you are Greenglass House by Kate Milford and The Westing Game, and this is by Ellen Raskin. Now this particular book I have not read, but I am including it because it won the Newbery Honor Award and it has lots and lots of excellent reviews from sources that I really trust, so I wanted to include this. So this is about 16 people who gather for a very unlikely reason. They gather to hear the will reading of a Mr. Samuel W. Westing. This is all about this very eccentric billionaire, I believe, who has passed away under mysterious circumstances, and he has decided that he is going to leave his vast majority of fortune to one of the 16 strangers present. And so it becomes kind of a race to solve this weird game in the Westing house to see who will inherit all of this money. And I've heard excellent things about this. I have not read this myself, but I'm very excited to read it. So if you're interested in games, if you're interested in mysteries, I think you might want to pick this up. The next book I have here is one of my favorite books of all time, and that is Greenglass House by Kate Milford. I absolutely love this book. I discovered this book 2 years ago and completely fell in love with it. I highly recommend it to everyone, even if you're not interested in mysteries. I think you're gonna like this. This follows a boy named Milo who lives with his parents in something called a smuggler's inn. And the smuggler's inn is called Greenglass House. It is a hotel for people who are thieves. And around Christmas Eve, all of these thieves show up at once and they all seem to know each other. And there seems to be a mystery revolving around Greenglass House and all of these sudden strangers in the night. So Milo decides to try to figure out what is happening before any of them, and it's just kind of his story. It's really, really great. Next up, I would like to recommend a couple of books that I think are really funny. One of these books I've actually done with my middle grade book club back when I was a librarian. I will tell you, every single one of the kids who read this book, and I believe there was over 15, all said it was their favorite. Not a single kid said that they did not like this book. I remember one of the kids actually had gone ahead and checked out all of the books in the series, and he had been working his way through it, so I was really, really happy. And actually, this book was recommended to me by a kid. It was recommended to me by my nephew when he was like 9 years old. So I know that kids like this book. If you are looking for a book series specifically that you know a middle grader is going to like, I highly recommend this one because all the middle graders I know have loved it, and I love it as well. And that book is, the name of this book is A Secret, and this is by Pseudonymous Bosch, and it is fantastic. The reason this book is so amazing is because A, the plot line is really fast-paced and interesting, but also B, the narration style of this book is hilarious. This is about two students who become friends. They kind of stumble across an accidental mystery. It happens when a very pretty lady and a very handsome man are talking about something very big and secretive, and they are looking for something, and they seem like they are up to no good. This friendship duo has to go and try to figure out what is happening, what the mystery is. Are these people good guys or bad guys? And I know that seems kind of vague. I'm trying to be really vague in the synopsis because it's pretty easy to actually spoil some really cool things that happen in this. But let me just tell you, it's really good. And if you're looking for something funny, this is it. The next book that I would like to recommend that is funny is actually the School of Good and Evil series. And this is by Soman Chainani. And I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm really sorry if I'm not. This is not the first book. The first book is just called The School of Good and Evil. I don't know where my copy is, so I'm just holding up this copy. This is about two best friends, Agatha and Sophie, and they are whisked away and kidnapped by the storyteller, who brings them to the two dueling schools, the School of Good and the School of Evil. Agatha thinks that she is destined to be a witch, and Sophie believes that she is destined to be a princess. However, when they get there, they are sent to opposite schools, and Sophie has to become the witch and Agatha has to become the princess. And it's fantastic. It has so many wonderful messages to girls and to just people in general about what it means to be beautiful on the inside, on the outside. It has a lot of commentary on friendship, and above everything else, it's just funny. It's just a really, really funny book series. I think that it's fantastic, it's well written, and it's one of my favorite middle grade series of all time. So, highly recommend it. The next category is going to be fantasy. So the first book that I would like to recommend in the fantasy category is The Girl Who Drank the Moon, and this is by Kelly Barnhill, and this of course won the Newbery, and it's completely fantastic. I know it's a lot of people's favorite middle grade here on BookTube. I know it's a lot of reviewers' favorites. It's definitely one of my favorites. I think it's completely stunning and just really impeccable. This is about a swamp witch who takes children from the village who have been abandoned and takes them over through the swamp to another village where they are adopted out. One of the children she ends up absolutely adoring, and she accidentally feeds the child moonlight, which means that the child then becomes magical. And so the swamp witch decides to adopt her as her own child. And it's just about their journey. It's about their family and magic, living in the swamp, what's happening with the two different towns. There is so much interesting and intelligent commentary. I really feel like this is a middle grade that I would consider a crossover middle grade, meaning I think that children will really enjoy this, but I think adults are really gonna get a lot out of this as well. It's just so smart and witty and has some very in-depth concepts that are important and interesting to discuss. Definitely an excellent choice if you're looking for a fantasy. The next one that I have is an all-time favorite, I would say, and that is the Nevermoor series by Jessica Townsend. If you have not read this, what are you doing? It is such a fantastic middle grade. I'm absolutely obsessed. The third book I think comes out this year as well, so this is a great time to pick it up and just kind of binge the series in general. But this happens to be one, if not my all-time favorite middle grade, aside obviously from Harry Potter. So this is about a girl named Morgan Crow, and Morgan is cursed and she is destined to die on her birthday. But on her birthday, a man named Jupiter North swoops in Raskin picks up Morgan Crow and enters her into these mysterious trials where she may or may not be eligible for something called the Wondrous Society. It's magical, it's whimsical, it's everything I love in a middle grade. It's absolutely perfect. And if you're gonna pick any of these books, I mean, I would go for this one. Next up, I have a category for tough stuff. I wanted to include this because I think it's important to discuss tough topics in middle grade, like mental health and how to treat people and how to be a better person, all that stuff. I just think it's so crucial. And I feel like middle grade does a great job at not talking down to their readers, at just presenting a story and kind of showing kindness and how to be a better human through action. So let's go ahead and dive into the two books I have for tough stuff. The first book is such an important book, and I think it should be required reading just for humans in general, and that is Wonder, and this is by RJ Palacio. This is about a boy named Augie, and Augie has a facial deformity. We don't really know as the audience what it is. It's intentionally left pretty vague, but it is so prevalent that Augie has always been homeschooled. And then finally, he goes to public middle school. And it is seeing his journey. It's seeing how he makes friends. It's seeing him getting bullied, him showing persistence in life. There's so much wonderful commentary on how to be a better human in this book. And it's just, I don't know, I think it's so important. I think it really shows that beauty on the inside is what counts the most, that being a good friend is important, that being empathetic to people is important. It just has so many fantastic messages. It's such an amazing book, and I highly, 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 highly recommend it, seriously. Then this next book is a book that I have not read yet, but it is going to be on a TBR upcoming soon, probably for April, and that is Some Kind of Happiness by Claire Legrand. So again, I haven't read this, as just my disclaimer, but I'm very interested in this because this book specifically talks all about mental health in middle grade, which I think is really, really important and something that is never discussed in middle grade literature. This is about a girl whose parents are going through kind of like a divorce. They're arguing a lot, and she is sent away to live with her grandma. We get to see how she is coping with things and how she is dealing with the process of her parents fighting, how she's internalizing things. I think there might be a little bit of magic involved because the way she escapes this is by creating another world and like going to the other world. I don't exactly know how much of that is pretend and how much of that is like a reality in this book. I think that depression is a theme in this book, but I think it's handled in a very delicate and beautiful way. That's what I've heard. I know that this has received excellent reviews from a lot of sources that I really trust. I'm extremely excited to start this. The next category I have here are like scary books or thrillers for middle grade. This is not a category that I thought I would ever be interested in because I am a scaredy cat. But turns out I love thrillers in middle grade. I think it's just the perfect balance for me to handle it but still be kind of scared. So I'm very excited to talk about both of these books because I love both of them very much. The first one is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I would also highly recommend the Graveyard book from Neil Gaiman. That is an excellent one as well, although that one's not very scary, but just in general, that's a great book. So Coraline is about this little girl named Coraline who discovers a door in her apartment, and when she goes down into the door, she discovers a whole other world that's exactly like hers, except her parents both have buttons for eyes. And it's definitely a scary story. There's a lot of twisted things that happen in here, but it's not too scary. It's totally appropriate. It's totally okay. And I really loved this book. I loved the movie too. I saw the movie with a bunch of my friends. We had like a Hufflepuff slumber party and it was really fun. I'll link that video somewhere because that was one of my favorite videos I've ever done actually. And we had a lot of fun watching the movie together. But as is the case in most of these book to movie adaptations, I do kind of prefer the book to the movie. I think that the book is just so well done and so creepy, but also really magical. So if you're looking for kind of a thriller, I would go with this one. The next one is by Katherine Arden and it's fantastic and it is called Dead Voices. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer, you should probably start with the first book in this series, which is called Small Spaces. I'll insert it here. This is the sequel. I'm gonna talk about this book, but I promise there will be no spoilers. So this follows three friends and their parents as they go to stay up in this kind of ski lodge for winter. And then it turns out that the ski lodge is haunted and they are snowed in. And it's about all three of them trying to figure out how to navigate this haunted ski lodge hotel together. It's creepy, it's scary, it's awesome. I loved it so much. And let me tell you, I was terrified. I was so scared. I wasn't scared at all while I was reading Coraline. I just thought it was like a fun thriller. This was scary. Katherine Arden really killed it with the scare department because, whew, it's scary. Next up, I have some sci-fi for you. So I'm not typically as big on sci-fi. However, I did really enjoy both of these books. The first one is a classic, and that is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline L'Engle. I loved this book so much when I first read it. I read this when I was in middle school and it really stuck with me. I think I've actually reread this exact book, this exact copy, at least 3 times in my lifetime. I just think it's so well done. Also, my mom really loves it. I don't know why I feel the need to tell you that, but my mom loves this series too. So we talk about this series all the time, or we used to anyways while I was growing up. This is about a girl named Meg who has a brother named Charles Wallace and a best friend named Calvin, and they decide to go off and explore another world in space in search of Meg's father who has gone and disappeared. And Meg's father is a scientist who was studying a specific way to travel in space, I think. There are so many iconic lines in here. It's a smart read, it's a fascinating read, it's a cozy book. I absolutely love it. I don't know anybody who has read this and hasn't fallen in love with it. Even if you don't like sci-fi, this is one of the instances where I think you should pick this up because it's fantastic. And it's just such a smart book. I don't know how to explain it. I just really, really love this. This is definitely a 10 out of 10 book. Next up, I have The Lighthouse Between Worlds, and this is by Melanie Crowder. And this is a really great book. So this is about a boy who lives with his father and they live in this lighthouse. One night, there is a band of strangers who come mysteriously and knock on the door. Griffin is sent to his room where he spies and hears that his father is part of a secret society. They are whispering about something when all of a sudden his father goes to the lighthouse and is sucked in. And Griffin learns that the lighthouse is actually a portal to other worlds. It's fantastic because it's very sci-fi-y. Like there's a lot of different elements on how these different worlds exist, and there's a lot of discussion about parallel dimensions. It's really, really fantastic. It feels kind of magical, even though it's very heavy on the sci-fi. I think a lot of people are really gonna enjoy this. Next up, we have contemporary, which is a very popular genre, I think, for a lot of people in middle grade. The two that I have here are two that I have not read, but I have heard really great things about, and I wanted to include them. The first one is a book that is actually on my March TBR, and that is The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James by Ashley Herring Blake. And this is about a girl who gets a new heart because I think her old one stopped. She was very sick. And she writes a list of 3 things that she wants to do over the summer. 1, she wants to do awesome and amazing things. 2, she wants to find a new best friend, someone who's gonna be loyal and nice and kind to her. And 3, she wants to kiss a boy. But I think what ends up happening is she develops a little bit of a crush on her new best friend. This has a lot of really great topics in it. It explores LGBTQ+ themes. It explores, I think, her relationship with her parents. It explores getting over a sickness. It explores trying to live your life to the fullest. So I think this feels very positive, very motivating, and also really hard hitting. So I'm really excited to get to this. And then the last one here is one that I think is also really important, and that is The Line Tender. This is by Kate Allen. And again, I have not read this one, but I felt like it was really important because this is a book that talks about grief. This is about a girl who is grieving the loss of her mother who has passed away a couple of years beforehand, and she's trying to kind of move on with her life. So it's a reflection on her current relationship with her father, and I think that the book kind of revolves around her trying to connect to her mother in a really positive way. So we've got some really important topics that I think are really important in middle grade, like grief and what it's like to lose a parent or a loved one. But also there are a couple of very strong themes of friendship and family and finding yourself. So it sounds really great. It's definitely gonna be on a TBR upcoming soon, I think. And yeah, I'm very excited. I think this would be a great one to read for middle grade March. The next category I have here are some graphic novels. Now, some people will tell you that graphic novels do not count as real books, and I don't like those people. The first graphic novel I have here is The Amulet from the Amulet series. This is by Kazu Kibushi. This is not the first book. So this follows two siblings, Navin and Emily, and their mother, who all move to their grandfather's mansion after their father passes away, which is really, really sad. So their grandfather has gone missing for years, and they just decide to move in. And they discover a portal to another world one night when their mother is kidnapped by a monster. And this is so great because it kind of blends invention with magic. It feels very steampunk. The illustrations by Kazu Kibushi are gorgeous. It's fantastic. It's got some Howl's Moving Castle vibes too. It's kind of dark, it's kind of scary, it's very mysterious, but it's fast-paced and it's just a great adventure. The next book is a personal favorite. I love it so much. I recommend it to all of my friends, and that is The Tea Dragon Society. I know it kind of looks like a picture book, but it is not. It is a graphic novel. Here are some pictures. It has like a paneling style and it's really fantastic. This follows a girl who discovers a mini dragon and she returns him to this tea shop where he belongs, and she discovers the Tea Dragon Society, and it's a shop where they take care of little baby dragons. The dragons actually harness tea leaves on their backs. It is the most wholesome, beautiful story. There is a beautiful friendship in here. There's a little bit of a crush that happens in here. And it's just the most beautiful, wholesome, adorable book. I don't know anybody who doesn't like this book. I think this book is so charming and so perfect in every single way. If you're having a bad day, I would pick this book up. It will make you very, very happy. It makes me very happy. Yeah, that's all I have to say about this one. And then the final category are two of my recent favorite middle grades. I wanted to include this because a lot of people ask for my favorite middle grades, and I want to do a dedicated video to that, but I didn't want that to be this. I wanted this one to be really specific so that if you had something you were looking for, it would help you out. But I did want to include a couple of my favorites since so many of you asked me. The first one is one where I did a whole vlog about, and it is A Pinch of Magic by Michelle Harrison. This was my very favorite middle grade of last year, and I think it is the most whimsical, charming, and beautiful middle grade ever. It will completely steal your heart away. It stole mine away. It's kind of like my perfect favorite book. So this is about three sisters, and they discover that there is a family curse and a family secret that they have to try to break. And they are all given one magical object. And it's all about their journey, it's about their adventure, trying to figure out how to break this curse, how to navigate having magic for the first time. It's wonderful. I so recommend this. I just thought it was really perfect, and it's definitely one of my favorite books of all time, seriously. So I highly recommend this. And then the next book is a book that I just read, and I have a vlog for this one as well, so I will go ahead and link that as well. And that is The House with Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson. 10 out of 10 book, fantastic. I think a lot of people are really gonna enjoy this. I think Sophie Anderson is brilliant. I loved it. I loved it so much. I really loved it. So this is a really smart middle grade. This is about a girl named Marinka, and Marinka lives with her grandmother Baba Yaga in their traveling house that has chicken legs. Marinka just kind of wants to be normal. She wants to settle down. She wants to live her life. She wants to make friends. But unfortunately, when your grandma is Baba Yaga, that can make things kind of complicated. It's just about her exploration, her relationship with her grandmother, about their adventures in this house. It's beautiful, it's touching, it's emotional, it's well written, and it is definitely going to be on my list for my top 10 favorite books of the year. Well, there you have it, you guys. There are some middle grade recommendations for you. I hope you found something that you are gonna like, something that appeals to you. If you would like me to do another one of these, please leave down in the comments a category that you would like, a genre that you would like, anything you want surrounding middle grade. I read it so often, I should probably make more videos about it. If you want to see anything specifically about middle grade, let me know and I will do my best to do that for you. I guess that's it for now, book lovers. So until next time, keep your head in the clouds and your heart in a book, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights.